This is Rogers TV.
CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. On behalf of Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, the Ottawa Board of Trade and the Ottawa Business Journal, welcome to the Mayor's Breakfast. I'm joined this morning by my co-presenter Michael Curran, the President and Publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal, which is our premier business media outlet. We are thrilled to be gathered here together in our beautiful City Hall in beautiful downtown Ottawa. Ottawa is built on unceded Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory. The peoples of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation have lived on this territory for millennia. Their culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. We honor the peoples and land of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. We honor all First Nations, Inuit and Métis peoples and their valuable past and present contributions to this land. I want to thank the team here at City Hall for hosting us, and to our event partners, Centurion for the beautiful breakfast, and to Rogers TV for streaming, is it called streaming? No, live broadcasting our show here this morning. Please encourage those in your network to catch up on the replay of today's conversation, which is made possible by Rogers. I want to thank all of you for being here this morning. We appreciate the time and the energy that you invest in the growth of our business community and the building of our city. A special welcome to our board members, Brendan McGinty from Strategies 360, Julie Lupinacci from Hydro Ottawa, Ian Sherman from Relationship Capital, Riaz Sidi of CD.io, Devinder Chaudhry of Ayana Restaurant Collective, and John Proctor, who also represents the Board of Trade on the Ottawa International Airport Authority Board of Directors. Thank you for your ongoing leadership and dedication to our community. I would also like to acknowledge our OBOT ambassadors, John Nelson from Carleton University, Monica Hailstone from Hilton Garden Inn, downtown Ottawa, and Teresa Whitmore of Remax Hallmark Realty. Our ambassadors welcome new members and ensure they maximize their benefits, so I want to say thank you to you for being here and welcoming all of our new members. And to all of our OBOT members, partners, and volunteers, thank you for your support and ensuring that Ottawa has a strong voice of business. I want to say a special welcome to our guest speaker today, Michael Deluce, the CEO of Porter Airlines, and thank you for being with us this morning and your ongoing investment in our city and in our region. Thank you for being here. And I want to say good morning and welcome to our city councillors, Councillor David Hill, Councillor Kathy Curry, and Councillor Marty Carr for being here and for your ongoing leadership. And I see Catherine Kitts, Councillor Catherine Kitts. Thank you for being here as well. Good morning. OBOT is pleased to acknowledge one of our pillar partners who is able to join us here this morning, Enbridge Gas. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to do the important work we're doing, so thank you. The Ottawa Board of Trade is the voice of business and a key economic partner in our region with a mission to cultivate a thriving world-class business community. And it is to that end that we are glad to bring you here together as business leaders to drive thought leadership, to network and collaborate on important issues to build up Ottawa. I want to say thank you to everyone who attended our special edition, who here was at the special edition Mayor's Breakfast with Premier Doug Ford, last month, which was, I think, actually just 2 weeks ago. And I want to say thank you specifically to the Mayor for your work in leading the New Deal for Ottawa. That deserves a real applause. Yes, it does. We are very excited about how this investment will advance our collective city priorities, and we are encouraged that Queen's Park amplified the importance of Ottawa as a key economic driver in Ontario's economy. We were also pleased to see their support for downtown Ottawa, and will work with the city to integrate it into our final Downtown Ottawa Action Plan, which will be shared in the coming weeks. I hope that you are able to join us next week for our long-standing tradition of gathering the day after the federal budget. We will receive a review from Minister Suds, a technical briefing from MMP, and insights from key business leaders on a panel. The federal government is an important part of Ottawa's economic ecosystem, and we have a particular interest in their financial and workforce plans. The following week is our ever-popular Ottawa City Building Summit, one day dedicated to discussing our collective future, including the downtown, energy, housing, and high-impact projects. Reserve your spot today. These events are designed to be community conversations for all of you to be informed and inspired about what's happening in our city and in our country, and to be involved in shaping our future. And I know Jesse Card is here this morning from Youth Ottawa, and we are really grateful for your partnership in making sure that we have a young leaders lens on the City Building Summit as well. You can learn more about the people and projects in our city by tuning in to our TV show weekly on Rogers and our podcast called Ottawa Business Matters, featuring business and community leaders committed to our economic growth agenda. Our summer edition of Capital Magazine, featuring Ottawa City Building, Ottawa as a city music city and cultural hub, and our competitive edge, Young Leaders, will be open soon, and you can let us know if you would like to be a contributor. The Ottawa Board of Trade is an independent, nonpartisan, nonprofit association of business and community leaders working together to support local businesses, grow our economy, and enhance our lifestyle. We do this work in a variety of ways, including collaborating with key economic partners and elected officials. Our board of directors and volunteers are honored to work for all of you, but membership is the key to growing our impact. I invite each of you to be an active member with us, your local Board of Trade, so that together we may strengthen our voice of business and build up Ottawa. As we kick off this morning's breakfast, let's recognize the great organizations that support the speaker series. Our lead sponsor, Hydro Ottawa, Algonquin College, Edelman, Commissionaires Ottawa, Enbridge, Ottawa Senators Hockey Club, RBC, the Westin Ottawa, our global partners Oakwood and the Casino Lac Limi, our AV partner Ottawa Print Services, our gift speaker, speaker, this is important because you get a nice gift at the end. Our speaker gift sponsor, Eamon Hardin, and our coffee sponsor, Capital Office Interiors, and our breakfast sponsor, La Cité. Can we have a big round of applause for all of these sponsors? Without them, we would not be able to host these events, which are so important to keeping our business community close. Now, before I invite His Worship Mayor Mark Sutcliffe to the podium, I just want to take a moment to say thank you, Mark, for my beautiful gift that I received this morning. I think these will be on sale in the lobby after, no. I remember when you made the first address at this Mayor's Breakfast when you were first elected, and you coined Team Ottawa, and I see it everywhere now. And I just wanted to say thank you for your leadership over this last year and a half, I believe it's been. And I'm a proud member of Team Ottawa. So thank you for the toque.
Thank you, Su-Ling. That hat looks very good on you. Thanks so much. Thanks for everything you do for Team Ottawa. Very much appreciated. We're very lucky to have such great leaders in our community, and it's always great to welcome you to City Hall and to see so many familiar faces and to see the people who are really driving our economy forward. So thank you all for coming here today. Bienvenue à tous et à toutes. Je suis très heureux d'être ici avec vous ce matin. And it does feel like only a few days ago that we were gathered. We took this show on the road to the Shaw Centre, and we had a wonderful breakfast with Premier Doug Ford. And I know many of you were there, and we had a big announcement of $500 million of funding for the City of Ottawa. And so there are lots of good things happening here at the city, and we're continuing to work very hard to create the conditions for economic success, for downtown revitalization, for growth in our city. And I want to thank my colleagues on City Council, 4 of whom are here today: Catherine Kitts, Marty Carr, Kathy Curry, and David Hill. Together, we are working to make sure that you can be successful as business owners and leaders in our community. So thank you for everything that you're doing. I'm very excited about our guest this morning, and I don't know if if Porter, I don't know the exact amount that Porter's investing in Ottawa, but it's a lot of money. So we got a bit of a theme going here that I don't think he's going to bring a check with him today, but there's a lot of investment that's happening in Ottawa by Porter, and we're very excited about that. We'll talk about it a little bit this morning. So I got to say, I'm a big fan of Porter Airlines. I remember when the service debuted and they created these great flights to the Island Airport, the Billy Bishop Airport in Toronto, and that was, I know for business owners and for people who had to travel to Toronto on a regular basis, that was a game changer. That was really remarkable. And I really respect Porter for the quality of service that they provide as an airline. I've been on Porter many, many times, and including recently, and at a time when it feels like, frankly, the airline industry is very much moving away from service and is focused more on a price competition kind of model. Porter is investing in customer service, and I really admire and respect that. And they have a great vision of, yeah, we should salute that. And they have a great vision for growth, which we're going to hear about this morning. We're also going to hear about how Michael comes from an aviation family that started when his grandparents started White River Air Services Limited in 1951. So this has been going on for a long time. As I said, Porter's is investing in Ottawa. They're building a new hangar at the Ottawa International Airport, which we're very excited about. And we have a little bit of news to share this morning around Porter's commitment to Ottawa. So we'll get to that coming up this morning as well. So please give a warm Team Ottawa welcome to the CEO of Porter Airlines, Michael Deluce. I have a Team Ottawa toque for you as well, by the way, right here. So I'll give that to you.
Proud member of Team Ottawa. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome back to Ottawa. I know you've been here many times, and did you drive here last night on the 401? I'm assuming. Yeah.
Ended up flying 8:30 Porter flight, arrived early, and was able to get to bed at the Elgin Hotel before 10 o'clock. So
perfect.
It was excellent.
Perfect. Arrived early. That's good stuff. You've probably never even been on Highway 401 because you can just fly wherever you want to go. But tell me about being in an aviation family, and we can talk in a moment about your original career plans, because it wasn't necessarily to join Porter, but it ended up that way. But what was it like growing up in a family that was in the aviation business?
It's certainly a different path in life, and as you mentioned, my grandfather started an airline in 1951. My father had 7 brothers, and all of them in aviation, spanning roughly 10 or 12 airlines across the globe over the last 50-odd years. So I was, figure of speech, but born in the back of an airplane. I was actually born in Toronto, but the same day I was born or released from the hospital, flew back to Timmins, where I grew up for my first 8 years.
So you were on a plane within a day of being born?
That's right.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time in aircraft when I was younger. It's when you are in the aviation business, it's something that's very hard to sort of get out of. People gravitate towards it when you're in it. It's an unusual career path for many people. People don't think about being part of an airline, but I've been exposed to it my whole life, and it's a very exciting business and industry to be part of.
But you weren't necessarily going to work in the family business at Porter. You thought you were going to have a career in corporate finance, basically?
Well, Porter didn't exist when I left university. I was interested in trading. And so I joined Scotia Capital out of university in their global trading platform, but quickly realized that that was not for me. Ended up in the early business planning of Porter. It was not known as Porter then, but this was back in 2001, 2002, and eventually, after about a year at Scotia, resigned and sort of joined the early planning stages of Porter.
So let's talk about your dad a little bit, Robert Deluce, who's the founder of Porter, and just tell me what it's been like working with him. He's a visionary. He's known throughout the industry as a really interesting and likable guy. So just tell me about growing up with him as your father, and then getting to work with him at Porter.
Yeah, I mean, Bob is, certainly a figure in the industry, and he is incredibly personable, makes connections with people. He is extremely detail-orientated. When we started Porter, Bob would be picking up any speck of dirt off the ground in the terminal, just, an individual that's invested completely in the industry and Porter's success, and still remains actively involved. He's executive chair, 75 years old now. I was mentioning to someone earlier that Bob is still a commercial pilot. He's licensed on the E195 E2 jets that we operate. And don't worry, we don't let him fly on scheduled flights, but Bob still does deliver. We've taken 32 of our new E195 narrow-body jet aircraft in the last 15 months. And Bob has done many of those deliveries from Sao Paulo, Brazil, up through Barbados, overnight, and into Toronto. And, you've never seen someone as happy as Bob flying the E195. So.
That's very cool.
But no scheduled service,
right.
I promise.
Okay. We're not going to see him in the cockpit on a flight to Toronto some morning. No. By the way, just as a tiny little aside, I noticed you call him Bob. He's your dad, but there are family business owners in the audience today, some of whom I know, and that's not uncommon when it's a family business, that in the professional context you don't say mom or dad. You use their first name, right?
Yeah, that's how we've always operated, and that's something that we're comfortable with.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so let's talk about the experience of launching and growing an airline, because I'm sure you've heard this quote a million times, but there is the joke about if you want to become a millionaire, then start as a billionaire and open an airline. So it's a tough business, air travel, right? And it's very competitive. Lots of airlines have gone out of business. So what is it that appealed to you guys about launching this, and how have you managed to make it work?
So you're absolutely right. It's a very difficult business, especially in Canada. There's been uncountable number of failures in the industry. Recently, we had Lynx depart. So it is a very difficult business. You have established large incumbent carriers. It's a fixed cost heavy business. You need a lot of capital, but as well, you need to differentiate yourself. And so clearly Porter, in its early stages in 2006, how we tackled that, one, we created some protections that were blessed by the Competition Bureau to fortify ourselves against Air Canada doing what Air Canada does best, putting new starts under. So we did, create a bit of a shield, which was pro-competitive as viewed by the Competition Bureau, to stop Air Canada from just flooding the island, despite never wanting to be there prior to Porter. The second was differentiating ourselves through this unique airport, Billy Bishop, which, prior to its development, you'd stand there and see the city, being 3 kilometers away. That's actually a shorter distance from the runway to Kingham Bay than is the length of the longest runway at Pearson Airport. So you sit there saying, this is guaranteed to be a success, but we need protection against the incumbent carriers because this is not in their interest. So we created a new terminal environment, created an onboard service experience that didn't exist, and really differentiated ourselves on service, but as well the convenience of Billy Bishop. And that was our first, call it 15 years of existence. And so it created a strong bond with a large group of customers in Eastern Canada. And that really gave us a platform coming out of COVID to evolve the business significantly into, a Canada-wide operation between our Dash 8s, still operating out of Billy Bishop, but as well expanding with our fleet of jet aircraft that we placed an order for during COVID.
So let's talk about that a little more, because customer service and brand loyalty are not it doesn't feel like that's where the airline industry's been going recently. And it's almost like an understanding that, with the exception of Porter and maybe a couple of other examples in other places, that people are just going to book the cheapest, most direct flight. They don't care which airline they're on unless they have points. And the airline is going to keep their price as low as possible by having the most basic service and then charging you incrementally for everything on top of that. How have you been able to make it work going in the other direction, where I think there are a lot of people here who their first choice is to fly Porter when they're going, in particular, going to a place like Toronto, and where you're able to serve a drink in an actual glass instead of a plastic cup, and where you're prioritizing customer service.
Yeah. So the challenge with this business and the amount of failures in it is, if you compete only on price, you will lose that every time, because with the click of a button, us, Air Canada, WestJet can match a Lynx fare in the market. And so as a new start or an unknown airline, trying to compete on the lowest price is great and honorable and great for consumers, but it's not a sustainable model. And so Porter was built differently. Now, our objective is to provide competitive fares, so that we are always, when relevant, priced equal with the Air Canadas and WestJets, yet at the same point provide a significantly superior economy product, so that people do, when they have the choice, when price is relatively equal, many people will choose Porter. And so that is our day in and day out focus, to differentiate on providing the best economy product in North America. We think we've done that with the product: free beer and wine, complimentary snacks, free Wi-Fi, no middle seat. These are all elements that, when done correctly, and the airline business is not perfect. Sometimes we let people down. Everyone does. Delays, cancellations. But when done correctly, the customer satisfaction is through the roof. We have 90% customer satisfaction. Net Promoter Score, which is a -100 to +100 scale, often riding in the 70s, which is, holy grail territory for any business, but for an airline, it's unheard of. And so that's what we're focused on, is trying to deliver that, but still maintain a competitive cost point. We're not there to try to undercut the market in a dramatic way, because we do take on certain costs to deliver that service.
And how do you infuse that throughout the organization, that mentality about customer service?
So we, starting from financial reward system, Porter Performance Pays, one of the key measures is reliability and customer satisfaction, which we measure every day. The very first report leaders in our company get in the morning, comes around 7:30, is our customer satisfaction Net Promoter Score report from the prior day, by city, by aircraft type. You can click through it, read the open comments. Provides a lot of insights on what is going right and what's not going right in the system. And ultimately, we know that delivering a reliable, Porter refined type product will allow us to continue to win market share. The amount of growth that we have been putting in and will be putting into the market over the next 5 years won't come from stimulation. It will come only from grabbing share from Air Canada and WestJet and other carriers.
Where do you see the business going in the future, not just Porter, but the air travel business? What changes do you foresee? What should we expect and look forward to as the industry evolves in the years ahead?
I mean, you'll see continued technology changes from aircraft type that start meeting sustainability requirements. Porter has always selected the most efficient and emission-friendly aircrafts, but a step change in technology will start happening in the next 10 to 20 years, but it is a long cycle. The world has changed slightly. Certainly, Ottawa travel has changed since the pandemic. Business traffic remains off significantly as compared to other municipal areas in the country, but leisure demand is very strong across Canada, across many parts of the world. Air travel, continues to become, something that people really gravitate towards, and we're trying to make it as painless and seamless as possible so that people enjoy the experience. And in particular, in Ottawa, solving, the lack of connectivity, nonstop flights. Ottawa is an interesting market. It is long been the most underserved city, major city in Canada on a seats per capita basis. And so, typically passengers from Ottawa are being forced to connect through Montreal or Toronto, and we've seen great success adding new nonstop markets, most recently all of our West Coast markets, Eastern Canada, creating a connection point in Ottawa. We're getting east-west connections, east-west to south with our new Florida destinations. And you're going to see continued additions of service, new markets over the next 6 months, 12 months, 24 months.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And we have a bit of news to share around a data point that I think is really exciting, which is I understand that this summer, Porter will become the #1 airline serving Ottawa. Is that right?
That's correct. I debated. I debated with Mark LaRoche, CEO, and his team as to whether, when we previously announced a new destination, whether that made us #1 as measured by number of destinations and daily flights. And one of Mark's individuals was keeping me honest. He said, no, not until the next flight, which is going to be sometime this summer. And so at that point, Mark has allowed me to say that we'll be the #1 airline serving the market. Almost half of people traveling out in Ottawa or into Ottawa will be on Porter aircraft. And, Ottawa, Porter wants to continue to develop our network. We want to be the hometown airline in Ottawa. We are firmly part of Team Ottawa. And you'll see more Florida next winter. We already launched year-round Florida service to Orlando. You're going to see Western U.S. markets, which is something that the airport has long wanted. But as the community continues to support Porter's flights at Ottawa when they're successful, as all of our market launches have been in Ottawa, it allows us to continue to take risks on markets that have not had service before, where there's traffic, it's being fed through connection points. You can stimulate by creating a more seamless and convenient product. So we will continue to put faith in Ottawa as a market. It is our most important growth city across our entire network. So.
That's wonderful to hear. It's very exciting. And thank you for investing in Ottawa, and it's very exciting to think that very soon you'll be the #1 airline. When I met with your dad many months ago, he said, I want you to think of Porter as Ottawa's airline, and I think you're effectively becoming that very, very rapidly. Tell us about the investment in Ottawa, not just the investment in routes, but the investment in infrastructure and the investment in your team here in Ottawa, which is growing very rapidly.
Yeah, at the end of the day, flights are a big investment. Investing aircraft into new markets is significant, but flights can come and go. Our commitment to the Ottawa market is really evident from our investment in the physical infrastructure. About a year and a half ago, we started construction of a 150,000 square foot maintenance facility. That's where Porter will be basing all of its scheduled jet maintenance. The first phase of that opened just before the end of December. Second phase will be completed in May. And we'll have a grand opening event that we would certainly love to see you at, Mayor Sutcliffe.
I don't mind coming to those. Yeah.
So the ribbon cutting in May will be a great day. We have 250 employees roughly today in Ottawa, and we expect by the end of this year to grow to 450. We recently, back about a month ago, announced the opening of we've long had a Dash 8 flight crew base, but opening of a E2 jet base for flight crew. So we're basing pilots and cabin crew out of Ottawa, which is important to help building that frequency of destinations.
That's amazing, and that's really rapid growth. They go from 250 to 450 employees inside a year. That's incredible. So thank you for that investment in our city. I know that people in Ottawa have long felt frustrated that this is an underserved market from an airline destination point of view and in terms of direct flights. We currently only have one direct flight to Europe, and people are always feeling like they have to go through Montreal and Toronto. That's the historical sort of grievance, I think, that Ottawa residents have had with the airline industry. Can you explain a little bit about why that's been the case? Is it our proximity to Toronto and Montreal? Is that a big factor in it?
Yeah, absolutely. Cities that are hubs, where there's a lot of connecting traffic, is where you have the best service. And Air Canada has historically had Pearson and Montreal. They would not build a hub out of Ottawa. And so what you see is a lot of flights to those hubs, Toronto and Montreal, but a forced connection onwards to get your service. Obviously, when you have connections, that adds complexity to travel and time. It actually limits travel as well. You can stimulate travel with new nonstop service where people say, oh, I'd love to go to Florida or Vegas. Now it's one flight rather than a one stop. Porter has made a hub out of Ottawa. What you've seen in the last 12 months is a building of frequencies into Eastern Canada, Halifax, Moncton, Fredericton, Charlottetown. We recently announced nonstop service out of Ottawa to St. John's, Newfoundland. And then as well, Vancouver, twice daily, Edmonton, Calgary, adding Winnipeg shortly, and then the Florida destinations. So what you start creating is flows of passengers, not just Ottawa to those destinations, but Vancouver to our flights in New York through Ottawa, Vancouver to Halifax. And once you start getting traffic flows, which are only possible by frequency and breadth of destinations, the more destinations you have, the more frequencies, the more connectivity there is. So the local traffic benefits, Ottawa residents, people coming to visit Ottawa, have more flight options, more nonstop flight options, frequency. And so you get stronger local traffic and you get a much higher share of that local traffic, which is what we're seeing. But as well, you're creating all of these connecting flows of people unrelated to Ottawa. They're simply using it as a connecting point. And Ottawa is a great airport. I've seen a lot of airports. And frankly, if I was to say my favorite airport in Canada, other than Billy Bishop, Mark, sorry, would be Ottawa Airport. It's a pleasure flying in and out of there. And connections are made very easy. If you're a traveler going from Vancouver to Halifax or Vancouver to Orlando, and you had a choice to connect through YYZ Pearson or Ottawa, Ottawa is a very easy connecting point, especially as you add frequency and breadth of destinations.
So you just brought up a really important point, which is if you go back 15 years, Ottawa was not a hub in any way. Like very rarely were people flying through Ottawa to somewhere else. They were just flying in and out of Ottawa. But what you've brought up is now because of your investment, there are a lot more passengers who are flying through Ottawa, which increases the options for Ottawa travelers, effectively, right?
If you look at an airport like Pearson, and that's Toronto, largest city in the country, more than half of the traffic coming and going from Pearson is not going to Toronto, it's flying elsewhere. Calgary, that number, Calgary is an airport, similar size city. Calgary Airport served pre-pandemic, call it 18-ish million passengers. Ottawa served 5. It's because 70-some-odd% of Calgary's traffic is connecting. So it's that is the difference between having breadth of destinations and not. It's creating connections, and that's what, Ottawa Airport, their team, were very focused on developing Porter as a connecting airline with a hub, because that is the only way to properly serve a city.
It's amazing. So help us understand what goes into the decision to launch a new route, because that's one of the number one things I hear from the business community is they want to see more connections to other places, to Europe, to California, to other places in the US. So how do you make a decision like that? What are the factors that you consider, and how can we as a city end up with more direct flights?
So in cases where there's already established frequent service, like a Toronto-based market, there's a lot of data out there on how much demand there is, and it's already saturated, so there's not going to be a ton of stimulation unless prices change. a market like Ottawa that doesn't necessarily have nonstop service to some of the destinations we would be considering, the data is a little more difficult because it's being aggregated through assumed connections at other airports. And we've seen a lot of issues with that data. And so a good example of this was Thunder Bay to Ottawa. Thunder Bay to Ottawa, we were moving far more people connecting through Toronto on that market than what the market data size was saying. And so we then, had a significant amount of traffic moving. We decided, let's make Thunder Bay a twice daily nonstop service. It's taking those risks and then seeing success on the back of it that allows you to sort of make additional risks in the future, because the data is not clear. But the most important thing is when markets are launched for Ottawa, if they're successful, then we'll continue taking more risks and adding destinations. I'm happy to say that every destination we've added in the last 12 months has been successful. Nonstop service to Western Canada, Eastern Canada, the Florida markets. So we are going to continue taking risks as long as the community is using the service. There's tremendous opportunity for Ottawa. Like I said, a breadth of destinations into Florida, including west side of Florida, Western U.S., California, LA, San Francisco, Vegas, and then a broader range of potential leisure destinations in the Caribbean. All markets that Ottawa residents are forced to connect in Montreal or Toronto today. Unfortunately, in the near term, we won't be offering any Europe flights, but all of North America will have covered.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
But, I think what's incredibly valuable about how you've gone about this is because you've built a brand, and because you've built that brand around customer service, then when you start a new flight, a new route, a new destination, people are excited about flying Porter to that destination, right? So it isn't just the fact that it's a direct flight, it's also the experience. I know I've spoken to a lot of people who, when you added the flights to Florida, people who were used to flying on other airlines to go to Florida in the winter were really excited that they'd be able to fly Porter. And so, it wasn't just about who's got the cheapest flight or the most direct route, but about the customer experience.
Yeah, and the interesting part about Florida is, first of all, it was very successful. We were very full on Florida. We operated Orlando and Lauderdale both daily. We extended Ottawa year-round. You're going to see more frequency on those markets, but additional new markets. But despite that success, I would talk to people from Ottawa who had no idea that Porter flew to Florida. Which is actually encouraging, because if you can do well without 100% knowledge that Porter was an option, then these things take time as well, right? It's not just the first year you hit peak performance. It takes multiple years. You add multiple frequencies to destination. So we're pretty excited about next year and the year after, what we can achieve here in Ottawa.
What advice do you have for us, for Ottawa? What can we do to make Ottawa an even more successful destination for tourism and business travel, and to continue to use the airport for the amazing economic driver that it is for our community?
We're committed to continuing to invest in Ottawa. The more people that fly Porter out of Ottawa or come and visit people in Ottawa through Porter, the more traffic we'll continue to put in here, and we'll build out. We are committed to building out a broad network of destinations that you have not seen before out of Ottawa on a nonstop basis. And I think that creates a significant positive impact on the business community. Flight connectivity is very important for business, but as well residents wanting to come or go from Ottawa.
Is there anything we can do to help Porter be more successful?
The city and yourself, Mayor Sutcliffe, the airport have been incredibly supportive of Porter and really facilitated our success at this airport and our growth.
Well, we're really happy to support that, because you're now our number one airline. So we're connected now. We're very much connected. I wanted to ask you a couple of other questions about your favorite destinations. You already said what your favorite airport is, which is great. But You mentioned your dad is a pilot. You're not a pilot yet, because I understand that you and your son are starting to take flying lessons together. Is that right?
That's right. I mentioned that the other day, that my son, who's 15, turning 16 next month, very much into aviation as well, wants to get his pilot's license. It's something that I just, I could probably fly a plane if I had to. When I go in a simulator...
I don't think that's how it works.
I've seen enough to know, when I jump into a simulator, I can generally land and take off pretty well. But
are you sitting in the as a passenger on the flight thinking, if the pilot goes down, I'm ready to jump in. They just have to ask me.
I would at least try. You would see, with confidence, I would try. But I am going to start taking my pilot's license with him. It's amazing. You can solo when you're 14 years old a plane in Canada. You can obviously get a license when you're 17, but my son will be able to fly solo next year, with both ground school and the in-flight school. So we did sign up, and we're commencing that soon. So I figured that'd be a very good father-son bonding experience.
Absolutely. That sounds very cool. Good for you. What are some of the places that you like to travel to? And they don't have to be port or destinations. Anywhere in the world. You've obviously traveled a lot, having worked in the industry for so long. What are some of your favorite places to go?
I love visiting new places. As far as favorite destinations, are all porter destinations. Most recently, the Florida destinations have been great. Obviously, for business, I travel a lot everywhere, but for Florida, parents have a place in Naples, Florida, Fort Myers. And so having the Porter daily service there from Toronto has been a great addition, and one that we use to sort of bring the grandkids down to visit their parents, and that's been a good addition.
Okay, and anywhere internationally that you've visited that you really enjoyed?
I travel a lot to Brazil for work. The aircraft that we're purchasing are manufactured there. Brazil is a great country. And love all of Europe and Asia. So I can't hone in on one destination for you.
Yeah. And outside of Canada, any really cool airports that you've been to?
Very interesting airport between Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Rio de Janeiro. Both of them actually have city center airports. Not as convenient as Billy Bishop, but they're like engulfed within the city. We had lunch actually on the way out of Rio, and that airport is interesting. It's a 4,000-foot runway, much like Billy Bishop. We're running turboprops. They're running 737s. Brakes on hard, full throttle, release the brakes, you go down the runway, of course, all certified and safe, but then a steep departure next to the Statue of Christ and Sugarloaf. It's a spectacular airport, but you can actually have a very nice meal within this sort of mall environment, beautiful views of the city, and the airport is connected to all of this. And so we literally went from a nice lunch to walking over to the airport. And so it was an interesting perspective of the ability for an airport like that to interact with the city. It really is interesting.
What are you most excited about for the future? For you, for Porter, for the industry? Just what excites you?
We're 32 aircraft into a 100 aircraft growth cycle, continuing to build out this network in Eastern Canada, bringing on, you'll soon see a co-branded credit card, a broadening of our loyalty program, just continuing to execute on the plan that we've laid out and are focused on over the next 2 years.
Amazing. Well, you've really taken it to another level with the investments that you've been making recently, not just in Ottawa but beyond, and the number of flights and the number of aircraft, and we're really excited to partner with you, and so thrilled that your business, a great Canadian business started by your family, is now Ottawa's #1 airline. So thank you for your investment in our city. Thank you for your commitment to Ottawa. Thank you for linking us to so many destinations. Thank you for hiring so many people in our city. And I'm very happy to present you with this Team Ottawa toque. There we go. Perfect.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you for doing this today. Really appreciate it. Michael Deluce, CEO, Porter Airlines. That's great.
Perfect. Good stuff. This would have come handy in January.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a little warm for toques, I agree. Pose for the photo, take it off. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Kern from the Ottawa Business Journal. It's my pleasure to wrap things up. We'll have you on your way in just a second, but I do want to thank Mr. Deluce, Michael, for being here today. When I speak with local business leaders, the lack of direct flights or air connectivity to Ottawa is such an important issue. So for you to spend time to be with us here today and announce this great news, Ottawa's hometown airline, the most frequent airline out of Ottawa, is great news. So another round of applause, please, for the CEO of Porter Airlines. As a gesture of our appreciation, I'm going to call Lauren Jameson from Eamon Harden to come forward. And we'll get you up on stage, Lauren, and we'll once again thank Mr. Deluce for his presence today and all this great news he's giving our city. All right, let's continue with some gifts, a prize in fact. The first prize, door prize today, is a $200 in casino dollars to be used anywhere at Casino Lac Limi, and I'll get Miguel. Where's Miguel? There he is, right there, standing there, and you've got the gift. And the draw, maybe we'll get Mr. Deluce to do the draw. He's our special guest, Mr. Deluce. Thank you very much. All right. And the winner is Athena Papadas, the owner of Property Management Design. Is she here today? Oh, she had to leave. We're going to give it to her anyways? All right, we got it good. Yeah, we'll give you the card. Thank you, Miguel. And we're not done yet. We've got a great gift from the Senators. I'll get Brendan to come on up. Brendan? Chichrin, important addition to the team this year, performing very well. And maybe Mr. Deluce will get you to do the honors one more time.
Michael Major.
Where's Michael Major? There you go. Slip behind you. Congratulations. Sen's got a big game on Saturday, so hope everyone can make it there. I'll be there with the Casino Lac Limi, in fact, so looking forward to that. A quick update from OBJ. Our spring issue is now on the streets. We've got a cover story on the 20 fastest growing companies. We've been working on that for several months. In fact, here's some good news about the city. It was typically a top 10 list, and we had so many entries at such great 3-year average revenue growth, we decided to expand the list to a top 20. So that's great. The top ranked company, by the way, is Trellis, with 962% revenue growth over a 3-year period. So that's fantastic. So you can grab some copies as you're leaving. We also have our ever popular Book of Lists, which we handed out 2 breakfasts ago. So we'll be handing you a copy of the Book of List if you're interested. As you wrap up this morning, let's recognize our sponsors one more time. Our lead sponsor is Hydro Ottawa, Algonquin College, Edelman, the Commissionaires Ottawa, Enbridge, the Ottawa Senators Hockey Club, RBC, the Westin, our global partners, Oakwood and Casino Lac Limi, our visual partner, Ottawa Print Services, a new partner, thank you, Hamid, for that. Our speaker gift, Eamon Harnden, our coffee sponsor, Capital Office Interiors, and our breakfast sponsor, La Cité. So big round of applause one more time for our sponsors. Two events. Suling mentioned these, but I really want to underline two events coming up. One is next Wednesday, the post-budget breakfast. So, of course, the budget, the federal budget release in Ottawa is a little bit like, I sometimes joke, as the Super Bowl here in our political microcosm that is Ottawa. But it has many impacts, of course, on our city and on the business community. And there's a long tradition with the Ottawa Board of Trade and OBJ to bring business leaders together and nonprofit association, industry associations together. So that's happening at the Fairmont Chateau Laurier next Wednesday. We'll have Minister Jenna Sudds, Heather Schofield from the Business Council of Canada, Gavin Miranda, who's in the audience today, will be giving us our technical briefing on the federal budget. Also, Stephen Tapp, the economist from the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. It's a great event. I urge you to come out. Last event I want to highlight is April 23rd. Again, the City Building Summit. I think we could all agree that Ottawa is in a state of flux in many ways in this post-pandemic economy. It's very important that we as business leaders and community leaders come together and have a common vision for where we're heading for the city. And that's what this event is about. We have some fantastic speakers, including Mary Rowe, Canada's leading urbanist, Mike Moffat, who's playing a national role at shaping housing policy, Stephen Derry from Canada Lands Company. Canada Lands Company will be the organizations responsible for a lot of the federal land and the disposition of some federal government buildings, so that's very important. Alain Migueles, a former employee here at the City of Ottawa, now working at the National Capital Commission on the planning capacity. Mark LaRouche will be giving us airport update. That's wonderful. And as previously indicated, a special panel with Youth Ottawa to make sure we're getting that youth perspective on the future of our city. So that's happening. It's a full-day event, April 23rd at the beautiful Horticulture Building at Lansdowne Park. And that's it for this morning. On behalf of His Worship, Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, OBJ, and the Board of Trade, thank you for joining us so much today. Hope you enjoyed the event, and congratulations to all of us and to Porter Airline for being Ottawa's hometown airline with most frequency. We'll see you at the next Mayor's Breakfast in May. Date and speaker to be announced very soon. Visit ottawabot.ca for more information. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details. Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
My name is Roland Lalonde. I'm a resident of Purley-Vet. I'm in my 100th year. Now, I enjoyed living here at Purley. It's a place where we can find peace and a service that out of this world. When I got here on November the 1st, I found that there was places where you could do paintings and stuff like that. And I saw the people in charge, and I said that I was doing work with acrylic. I said all my paintings were 30 by 20, and I would be glad to do some painting for the foundation. This is the first painting in acrylic that I did when I came to Purley Veteran. I've since then painted 30, and they were all given to the foundation for veterans. Most of the painting takes me about 20 hours to do, but it's a pleasure to work. I did oil in 1970. I did quite a few of them, quite oil painting. And I had to stop because the fluid was affecting my lungs. I stopped, say, in 1980, maybe 82, and I didn't do any more paintings after that. Until I visited my son in Nova Scotia, and we went to see Peggy's Cove, and he wanted a picture of Peggy's Cove. And I said to him, would you take a picture in acrylic? He said, yes. So I did do on a 30 by 20 cardboard, and I never stopped since.
I think he is an incredible example for all our veterans. I know how dedicated he was to the Legion, and he's showing our veterans and everybody actually how to stay positive, creative, and enjoy life.
Painting in my room, I didn't think it was possible at first. But when I saw Ross and I got permission to do my painting in my room, and I enjoyed that. I worked with a computer since 1984, and I was able to use my computer to get my pictures and to resize them or to fit my 20 by 30 cardboard. And I think by Christmas I had about 15 done in 2 months. And now, 9 months later, I have 35.
We support Roland, I think, in a variety of ways. When we first became aware of him, we were very excited because he is a painter and a very enthusiastic painter and a very good painter. I really actually enjoy his paintings very much. You know, we had asked him to come to the studio, but he wanted to work in his room. And so he'd come in and he had some questions, you know, well, what about this? What about this area here? Because it's very hard for him to see. And so he was very humble in that regard. You know, he's this amazing mixture of being humble, but also being really confident. Because when he has a painting, it's an amazing painting.
I find it's a pleasure. It keeps me busy. I don't have to worry when I'm painting. My mind is painting, and it's something that I can't describe. I can't describe the pleasure that I get. And when I'm painting, I'm the master with my brush. My life at Purdy has been likable. The nurses, and even those that give the time, people that come to feed us. I really enjoyed living here. Really, 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 with Purdy Events.
Sports is life. It's clear cut. Everything's out in the open. There's nowhere to hide. I had to prove myself more than anyone else.
You must be so proud of your son. He's gonna go pro. The sky's the limit.
There's always a winner and a loser.
You cannot reach the sky in broken cleats.
Of course, I always want to be the winner. And I did reach the sky.
Norman Kwong, the first Chinese-Canadian professional football player, still holds records to this day. He retired from the sport in 1960 and later became Lieutenant Governor of Alberta.
Join us for Season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, right here on Rogers TV.
On Friday's Daytime Ottawa, photographer and community leader Sean Siss joins us on the show. He's going to talk about his incredible journey of his near-death experience and how he spent